Hey everyone, welcome to Keto and Crime. Today I've got a very special video for you. Did you know that 𝗂𝗍𝗃 Connections podcasts are still alive and well on the internet? Yes, you can find them. And I have journeyed to Apple Podcasts to react to one of them for you. I thought it was fitting that we see what people were paying her for. So anything we hear here, we can probably construe that she was doing it double time if she had a paid private session. So, ironically, I chose this one, uploaded August 19th, so about 2 weeks before everything went down with Ruby Franke's children. So, keeping kids safe in a predatory society. How ironic is that? So, let's give a listen. And I'm going to react to it. May not react to the whole thing. It is 27 minutes long, but I'll react to a substantial portion of it. And if you want me to come back and react to more, you absolutely can. But just absolutely will. But you can find her. Just Google Connections. Thanks to Stephanie Harlow. I'm now calling it that. Connections. 𝗂𝗍𝗃 podcast, and they are still alive and well. Apple has a whole 244 episodes, as you can see, and there's a lot of them here. Distorted boredom, drinking and drugs are not the problem, parable of the pineapple, all kinds of stuff. But let's listen how she believes that you should keep kids safe in a predatory society, shall we?
Hello, everyone. I am your host, Ruby Franke. Welcome to another episode of the Connections Podcast.
Okay, so it is Ruby, not Jody, even more ironic.
Where we help you create joy in your life and relationships. Start your training today at connectionsclassroom.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Connections Coaching, or join our private Facebook group, Moms of Truth with Jody and Ruby.
And that Facebook group has since been locked down. I tried to get into it, but it's a no-go.
When I was in 3rd grade, I had a yellow lab, and her name was Sunny. And Sunny was a really, rambunctious dog. She was a puppy at that time. And we at school had a show and tell. And at the end of the year, because so many children wanted to bring their animals for show and tell, the teachers put a stop to it and said, okay, here's the deal. If you want to bring an animal for show and tell, you need to wait till the end of the year. In May, it'll be really nice outside, and you can bring your animal, and we'll have a show and tell outside. And I was so excited because I knew I had this new puppy, this dog. And so my house was right there by the school. I would walk out my backyard gate, and I was on the Foursquare and the basketball court outside. I was at the park, and so I was just right there, and I was so excited.
Can I comment that just the way she speaks, and I got this from her YouTube videos as well, the way she speaks grates on my nerves. It's a very robotic, almost unemotional way of speaking. I mean, does anyone else get that? I mean, it's very, she may be talking completely off the cuff here, but it's very robotic. It's very non-feeling, and I get the feeling she's only trying to put on, it's like one big platitude. She's trying to get over to people that she is a normal, everyday, relatable person, which we know that she's not. I mean, if you get that feeling from her, let me know down below. Just weird.
And so when show and tell came, I told my teacher, I'm going to go get my dog. And she knew I lived right there. She's like, okay. So I went and I got my dog, and there was a lineup of animals. And this, I don't know if the teachers realized that what they were trying to mitigate through the school year was actually a circus show at the end of the year. They probably thought, was this worth mitigating? Because this doesn't feel like it was any easier. I mean, we had animals all over the place. We had birds, there were gerbils, there was a hamster. I think someone brought a turtle. There was a fishbowl. And I brought my dog, and someone brought their rabbit. Yeah. Can you see where this is going?
Please tell me. No. Please tell me. No. No. Ugh.
I went over, so everyone had their animals in line, and I went over to my backyard gate and I opened it up. Well, I was disconnected because I wasn't thinking through of how my dog let loose was going to affect all of the other animals on the play yard. If I was thoughtful and if I was connected and if I was thinking ahead, I would have put a leash on.
You were an elementary school student. That's not disconnection. That's just not knowing. And a competent adult should guide you. Either your parents should have said there are leash laws, so let's put your dog on a leash, and the teacher should have put some parameters. If she's allowing students to bring animals to school, they should be in a proper carrier or on a leash. I mean, that's a given, and the teacher should have specified that. It doesn't mean that a child is disconnected because you don't know that necessarily that your dog should be on a leash. I mean, you have to be taught things. Anyway.
The dog. And I think looking back, I'm also thinking the teachers were probably disconnected because either they did.
They're not disconnected. It has nothing to do with disconnection or distortion. It's just making a foolish error in judgment. They didn't think about it. Doesn't mean they're disconnected from God or life or whatever.
Didn't give me instruction, or they did give me instruction and I wasn't paying attention, which is another outcome of disconnect. I'm just not listening. Anyway, the reality was I went to my back door, the back gate, and I opened it up. And bolting out that gate was this dog, this yellow lab. And I was like, oh no, Sonny. So I go running after the dog, and the dog thinks I'm playing. And so we're doing round and round circles until the dog finds the rabbit. What do you think? What do you think happened? This dog, this was a heyday. It was like, my dog was like, thank you, Ruby. This is the best day of my life. And he just had just a screaming time. And the kids were screaming who owned these animals. And, I don't remember what happened. I probably blocked it out, but I do remember being very scared. I remember feeling, oh no, what have I done? I remember feeling, oh shoot, this poor rabbit is going to die. So I bring that up to tell you.
You don't remember what happened? Again, I think this is a made-up story. I really do think this is a made-up story. And why would you tell such a horrific story as an example of disconnection or distortion? Because a child didn't leash a dog. Either their teacher didn't tell them, or their parents didn't tell them, or the child didn't listen. How is that an example of a predatory society? Ruby, I think you made this up, but okay.
To paint this picture.
And it's just a horrific story. This is like something Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction would tell a child. I mean, the death of an animal. Come on.
Animals naturally know who their predators are. When that rabbit saw my dog bounding for it, it did not roll over dead. It did not hop toward the dog and say, oh, look, a dog, and jump into the dog's mouth. Oh, no. This rabbit had some sense in it, and it went bounding and hopping the other direction. And why? Because it wanted to protect itself. It didn't want to get hurt. It didn't want to run into the jaws.
So you're telling me this rabbit was just sitting on the ground next to the owner? I highly find that suspect. I suspect if there was a rabbit there, if the story happened at all, that this is the dumbest thing I've ever reacted to. That rabbit was in a carrier, a cage, or the child was holding it in its arms, and the child would have had some way to get it away from the dog. Or if it was on the ground, it might have been in a cat-type harness, which you can train rabbits on that. And in any case, that owner, if that was my rabbit, I'm picking the rabbit up, and even as a child, and running. This never happened. This never happened. There was no way that there was a rabbit sitting on the ground for that dog. No. I don't even know if Sunny actually existed.
If it's
because you don't seem like a pet type, Ruby.
Predator, this rabbit had enough sense and enough humility to know it's prey. I am a prey to this dog's fangs. And there was a lot of emotion here in this show and tell. I'll never forget it, except I did forget the ending. I do not know how I got that dog out.
Horseshit. This is all made up horseshit. But continue on to how we are supposed to keep kids safe.
Back into my backyard. It was like that was the show and tell, and I never did stand in front of everyone and say, "Here's my dog." Her name is Sunny. I never did say that. I think maybe my mom must have been watching, and all the teachers cooperated together, and they got my dog back.
If your mom was watching, that dog would have been on a leash, unless your mom's a mad woman. And I've seen her YouTube channel. She doesn't strike me as somebody that would just allow you to take a dog. This never happened.
Back into the backyard, and the gate shut, and that was it for show and tell. And I don't remember them ever doing that again. They learned their lesson. So every animal there's an animal chain, right? There's this.
Oh. And I had somebody comment on one of my videos where I had like my little sloth. And because I was talking about Ruby Frankie, they were afraid that I was going to cut the head off the stuffed animal because they were so traumatized. I will never, ever, ever do that. I take care of my things, and I'm not that cruel. So don't ever worry. If I'm holding one of my little funny animals, it's just because I'm holding one of my, I would never cut off their head, so don't ever worry about that, no matter who I'm talking about.
Assortment of animals that are above other animals and above other animals, and they're predators. It's the animal kingdom. And every animal knows how to protect themselves from the animal that would attack them. Snakes have venom, and scorpions have poison, and porcupines have quills, and elephants don't have.
And your son had common sense enough to run from 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 home. Yes, children do protect themselves, just as your son did.
Much protection, but they do have their herd call, and they do have their weight, and sharks have teeth, and fish swim in schools. Every animal has some form of protection to keep their species surviving. Humans are the only animal that I can think of. If you can think of another animal, the kiwi in New Zealand is not very protective, and that's why they're very rare. The rare ones get killed off. The animals who don't protect themselves, they get killed off.
Are you literally saying that humans have no way of protecting themselves? Read a book, you unmitigated idiot. Humans are the apex predators of the world. First of all, there is no other species in nature that is over humanity. Even that elephant can be brought down by a human. We are an apex predator. So what you're saying doesn't even make sense from an evolutionary standpoint. And we have ways of protecting ourselves. Humans are community creatures. They were great apes. We are community creatures. We live in families and communities protection, and we learned how to use weapons. We also have our feet, which your son proved when he got the hell away from you. And we've developed weapons. We can very definitely protect ourselves. And the fact that we have opposable thumbs and can pick up something like a rock and use it as a weapon, that is an evolutionary defense mechanism. No, we don't have spines or, prickly whatevers or long claws, but, we can still wreak damage through our strength, and we can also run away. And as I recall, humans are an apex predator. So
they go extinct. But the human, as far as I know, is the only creature who actually goes and flirts with their predator. We flirt with those things and entities.
We don't, because we are an apex predator. If you're talking about nature, yeah, we have pets. We domesticated the wolf, turned it into the dog. We domesticated great cats, turned them into little domestic house cats. We conquered those species. We hunt. We are an apex predator. The only other thing that is dangerous to human is another human. And yes, I will say that we can flirt with people that aren't necessarily good for us, and I'm sure this is what she's trying to prove, but you have to filter through all the idiocy.
And beliefs and attitudes that will kill our soul. We as humans, we trade off being protected for something that's stimulating. Do you see where I'm going with this?
No.
We as humans...
It makes no sense.
...go toward pornography. We say, ooh, pornography, and we don't even know we're being ravaged. We don't even know we're being hurt. Or we're like, yeah.
I have varied opinions on corn. I will call it corn because of YouTube's censorship rules. But yeah, I believe that that corn, like anything else, can be used in a helpful way, and it can also be used in a destructive way. Yes, if you have a verified corn addiction, corn desensitizes you and makes you, you have to keep more and more and more to get the same satisfaction you had, and you could find yourself, if you're that type of person, led down a path of depravity. I believe also that people that are in that corn industry have something, they're detached from something. I'm not calling them bad people or sick people or anything like that. Don't come for me if you're a sex worker or a corn worker. I have no problem with you at all. I believe every measure should be taken for your safety, and that's your right. But there's some I do believe that you're able to disconnect the emotional from the physical in that point, so that could lead down a bad path. But yes, corn can be troubling and problematic, but it can also be just something that a couple or even a single person uses to release, just either spice up or release or have a release that's not harming anyone else. So yeah, but of course it's all going to be demonized in Ruby's mind.
I know I'm being hurt, but I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. So yeah, you can destroy my spirit as long as I feel a hit. Why do we do that? We are the smartest animal. We are the smartest creature. We have dominion over the animals and the fishes and and all living creatures. We have dominion. We are the smartest on the planet. But I think sometimes we don't use our noggin and we act like we're the dumbest because we move straight toward that which hurts us. We do this toward people who will gaslight us.
Because humans have a much higher brain function than animals. Animals function on a much lower cerebral pulse than humans, and their instincts will tell them to back away. However, us as humans being able to reason will even though our instincts may be telling us don't do that, but we still can logically deduce that we have to do that, or we can do that, or we need to do that. That's how we've built the societies we've built, is by getting out of our comfort zone. We're the only animal entity on this earth that can do that. So yes, without risks being taken, civilizations are not built, Ruby. So
us or lie about us, and yet we still engage them. Why do we do that? We, if a clown drove.
And also we have emotions, Ruby. We can forgive, we can love. Animals have a sort of love, but a lot of it is dependence. And I think with humans, we do have a tendency to try to look for the better nature in people. So we make mistakes. Absolutely. It doesn't mean that we're broken or we're distorted or we're disconnected. That's just called being a normal person with feelings and a brain.
Up, and I asked my kids this. I'm like, I hope they have the right answer. I'm like telling them this, thinking, okay, they'll know what's right? If a clown rolled up in a dark van with all of the windows rolled up, and they slowly rolled down the window, and they're scooting at a half a mile an hour, and they're like, hey kid, I got some candy for you, what would you do? And my kids are like, I'd run. I'm like, good. That's the right answer. Yeah, if you were offered candy in that circumstance, of course you would run. If a rabbit sees a dog, what does it do? It runs. Yeah, that's protective. Well, child, what would you do if you see pornography? They say the right things, like, oh, I'd come tell you right away.
A lot of kids wouldn't even know what pornography is, and they probably wouldn't think a lot of it. How are your children getting this pornography, Ruby? Being that you blamed your children for their own incarceration and torture, how are they getting this stuff? It has to be left out by an older person or given to them. So kids are not necessarily going to seek out corn, and if they see it, if they even process what it is, they're probably not going to be that interested in it, because, yeah, unless they're being groomed to go in that direction.
This is not happening. This is not happening. We have these really beautiful conversations at the dinner table, and we say, if you see pornography, you're not bad, you're not in trouble, come talk to me. And the kids are like, yeah, okay. And you.
My parents never had that conversation with me. Their conversation was, first of all, they censored what we could watch, and also that discussion was more aligned if somebody touches you in your private places or says something in that vein, you need to come tell me. That's how my conversation. Are you actually sitting there and talking to your kids about corn? Are you showing them an example of it, Ruby? The conversations you have with your children just baffle me. And it makes me wonder what was actually going on in that house.
Say, what pornography have you seen? And they say, well, I did see, and they may come up with a couple, and they tell you. Kids are not being honest. And I don't mean.
Okay. So is this actually corn they're seeing, or is it a love scene in a movie or a TV show? Is it a person in an anime or a cartoon, maybe a person without a shirt on, like a male character without a shirt on? What are you telling your children is pornography? Kids don't think like that. When they go through puberty, yeah, I'm sure they think like that. But and that's when I was sneaking out back with the Playgirl, my mom's Playgirls, and I was, and I got that from her. So not that she gave it to me, but I got it. I knew where she kept it. That's usually where, those things happen. And I think what Ruby's trying to say is that anything that is not straight in line with her Mormon beliefs is pornography.
Every child. I'm not lumping every child. That's not what I want to make this, because there are children who are honest and there are children who aren't doing this. And what I want to highlight are the children who are in this boat so that parents know.
All right, I see where this podcast is going, and there's no need for us to even continue, because it's obvious that she thinks kids are being dishonest or awful if they're not reporting anything that she has taught them is pornography. And like I said, that could be a myriad of things and not actually pornography. So she's basically, again, putting the onus back on little kids who have to be told what something is, to understand it, to frame it, if they're not running to her every time they see a man without a shirt on in a TV show. So again, the stuff that her and Jody teach is just out there, and of course we know their attitude is monstrous, and I can't believe anyone took these teachings seriously. And so, yeah, she's blaming the children, which doesn't really surprise me. And so that's where I'm going to end it, because I'm just getting angry. And if you would like me to react to another one of these, I'll be happy to. I am still working on that next book summary, and I will have that out as soon as I can. And until next time, keep doing crime.